Hi, this is a quick demonstration of using Redgate change control to capture your development changes in migration scripts and then automate them through a release pipeline. In this example, we're using Jenkins for our continuous integration, continuous delivery aspect. So the first thing I'm going to do is open Redgate change control. This is what the developers use to understand the changes to the development database. We'll go ahead and open a project that I've already created and been working on. Here, I'm looking at changes on my development database in the HR schema, and my project, these changes get scripted out to my project, which is located at this working folder, which is linked to my Git repository. So there's nothing for me to apply to my development database, no other changes from other developers or things that I've pulled down from version control. I can also see, all the past migration scripts that have already been applied to this database. From here, I'll go over and generate migrations. So, this was just refreshed a minute ago, and there's no changes to import. So I'm going to go ahead. In this example, I'll use Oracle SQL Developer to make some changes to my database. I'm just going to go ahead and open this employee table, and I just want to add a new column. We're going to start tracking Twitter IDs for our employees. So this new column is now in my development database. I'll also go ahead and update one of our procedures that gets information about employees. So let's also make sure we're sending back this new Twitter ID that we created. So I will add that to the stored procedure and compile that against my development instance. From here, I can go back to Redgate change control and refresh. And again, this is going to show me everything that's in the development database that hasn't been scripted out to the file system yet. This does this by running all the scripts in this folder against my shadow database, and then using our schema compare technology to compare dev to shadow to find all the differences. In this case, there's two differences. I can click on those to get a better understanding of what exactly has changed and review my changes. I can select which changes I want to import. In this case, I want to import all of these changes. They're all part of the same story that I'm working on to track Twitter IDs. So I'll go ahead and generate the scripts. This will give me a chance to review the script, and I can make any updates here as needed. I could decide to insert some default values, anything I need to do here. I will also give a new name for the file. We default year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds, and the current username. I'm going to just say new Twitter ID, just so it's more clear. And along with the version migration script, which will get applied to target databases if it hasn't been ran against that database before, we also create programmable objects. So these are for any objects that don't have to worry about data. We treat these more programmatically. If they change, they will be executed on the target database. So we'll go ahead and save this to our working folder. So again, if I come over to the SQL file on disk, I can see I now have this new Twitter ID.SQL file, and my procedure has been updated. So I'm happy with this, and I'm going to go commit this, and I'm going to push it to my master branch. So just reviewing, here's my procedure, here's my new version migration. I'll commit and push that to my master. So this has now gone into my repository. From there, I'm going to kick off my Jenkins CICP process. So I'm using Jenkins, I'm using the Blue Ocean community plugin just to have a little bit nicer view. And again, if I look at how this is configured, all we're doing is, for this job, is we're using a pipeline that's pulled from the source control management system, and it's at the top of my Git file, so my Git directory. So in my Git repository, this is the Jenkins file that Jenkins is running. Here's it scripted out. We like to use pipelines as code so you can track changes to your pipeline over time, the same thing as you're tracking changes to your database over time. But you can really set this up any way you can. And this Jenkins file is the exact example from our documentation site. If you go to documentation.redgate.com/DSO, this stands for Deployment Suite for Oracle. This will get you to the documentation for Redgate change control. Under there is deploying database changes. We talk about how you can deploy automatically using your existing version control, CI, and automating your releases. From there, we also have this example Jenkins pipeline file, which still has a lot of to-dos, but this can be customized to meet your needs. So let's go check how the pipeline is running. So in this step, we've built the database. I'm doing a clean build every time, so I'm actually using Flyway Clean to clean on the test instance on the HR schema. I'm cleaning it. It's successfully been cleaned. I then just use Flyway Info to get a list of all the pending migration scripts. So this will be part of my log, so I can see which migration scripts have been applied. I then call Flyway Migrate, which is applying those migrates to the test database. So if I come back over here to my test instance now, I can now browse my HR schema. And if I look at the employees table, the Twitter ID is there. If I look at the Flyway schema history table, I can see new rows have been added for the new Twitter ID, and also the update to the job history table. These, because I've built this from scratch, these are actually all showing the same date timestamp. But that's now part of my test environment. I can go back, continue through it, and for this, I've actually added a manual intervention step. I want to approve the deployment before proceeding to production. So clicking proceed, this will now deploy to my production environment. I hope you found this demo useful to help you get started, and we're here to answer any other questions. Thanks so much.